And today we have a treat for everyone because we're looking at what I've been told is a 120-year-old home. This would be a nightmare. Minus 40, I don't envy owning this house in our winter. I'm just saying this home is scary. The shingles up there are all lifting. Huge patch here on the side of the wall. I don't know what that was once upon a time, but it's a big area to have patch. So this home needs some love. Let's love this home.
I wanted black. I wanted black windows. It's like a new thing. They got black windows. I was like, I want black windows. And they just like stuck in all this insulation. And the window is freaking.
It's successfully broken into this home in extreme caution. All right, we're back again. Chris here with the Calgary Home Inspector Corp. And today we have a treat for everyone because we're looking at what I've been told is a 120-year-old home. We're in one of Calgary's older communities, Capitol Hill. We got a lot of mixed between old homes and infills here. So it's easy to say that these are overdue for an upgrade, and we're gonna have a few different types from the look of it. Some aluminum, some vinyl. This home's probably gone through a lot of changes over its lifespan. So we'll go in and check out how everything looks. So we have a few different window styles here on this home. Like I said, 120 years old. We're gonna have gone through a few different iterations and changes over its lifetime. We got a nice old metal frame on this basement window. And then immediately to the next one here, we have an old wood frame. You see, it's just falling apart really. Looks like we jumped back to metal over there, and that frame is coming apart as well. We got a wood frame window there, and then a vinyl one here, and then back to wood frame on the corner. So this is just one side of the house that we're looking at, but this has been through its changes over the years, and I don't know how many windows we're gonna be replacing today, but if you're not doing all of them at the same time, this is what you're gonna see in 100 years if you're just, selecting a few to choose.
What's that?
I can't even really say.
It doesn't look like a window to me.
It's like a window, and then it's just got some slats across the bottom to fill out maybe what was the rest of the window at some point in time. Because I mean, it looks like it was a full window once.
100 years ago?
100 years ago. That too, just framed this window back in with lumber. You can see it all up there, huge gaps across the top. And in here, there's no sealant around any of this window. This would be a nightmare. Minus 40, I don't envy owning this house in our winter. So inside this window, we have a lot of moisture buildup. You can see the outline of where there's moisture against the window pane right now. And it's -2, -3 right now in Calgary. So this hasn't even seen the full brunt of winter. We're just, still in a transitioning phase from fall to colder temperatures. But I imagine that this is just sheet ice for most of the winter season. So not very functional, this one. So we do have double pane windows here. The glazing looks very thin, but then you can see all of the seal around these windows is completely deteriorated. Well overdue for some updates, some maintenance. Doesn't look like a lot has been done to upkeep these. And again, we got old wood frames all the way around. These are gonna be very poor performing windows. Yeah, possibly some of the worst we've seen. One of the first updates that took place, removing a window and getting some wall area back, improve the thermal performance. So again, on the front elevation here, we got 3 windows. We got a wooden one, a vinyl one, and then in behind there, we got a metal frame window. So this window is actually newer. It's from 2016. You can see vinyl frame. It still looks in pretty good condition, but what's likely happening is you're getting homeowners here who are responding to problems in a very localized manner, right? We had an issue with this window, so we went ahead and replaced it to deal with that issue, rather than also doing preemptive and preventative window replacement by changing out this old wood frame window, changing out this old metal frame window. So, and it just shows we're here 8 years later, probably replacing all 3 of these windows anyway. So if you're gonna go ahead and you start to see problems with, you know, one or a select few of your windows, it probably means that your other ones also need to be updated and replaced as well. So it's a good time to just look at doing all of them as preemptive, preventative maintenance and upgrade all your windows at the same time. Well, I got a little bit of a metal cap flashing on the wood sill here, but the problem, it's not really doing much. There's no sealant along the back seam of this window. It's not sloped in a significant manner that's going to kick water out to the front. And there's no sealant on any of the nails that are installed straight down through the sill. So you can see that those are all rusted and water has been deteriorating this entire wooden frame below here. Look at that, just that flaps in the wind. So a possible attempt at, you know, some maintenance preventative work that was not well executed and has resulted in damage just accumulating over 100 years. So just stop at this piece of art here that is potentially original to the home. So City of Calgary, October 1924. 100 years ago, almost to the date. So it's cool. You can see a lot smaller. There's the Bow River, and like development just kind of stagnates north of that. So Calgary's a lot bigger now. Some classic signs of water damage here. Look, that just kicks right out. This is completely swollen up the wood trim around this. So possibly some MDF or something of that nature that's gonna really puff up when it gets wet. And yeah, it's super swollen. Like it's that thick at the bottom and then that thick kind of as we move up the window. So clearly a lot of water is penetrating through these openings and soaking up inside the wood trim. Okay, so just pop that trim off. You can see that's falling apart and that is actively wet. So there's moisture that's actively in the wall, in under the window frame there. And it's been pretty dry in the climate up until the last few days. So this isn't something that's accumulated over, you know, a couple months of winter and like gone through those freeze thaw cycles. This is immediate ingress of moisture from the current climate. How long have you owned this house?
Since March.
Since March of this year. So you weren't here for last winter?
No.
Did you, because I know our weather fluctuates quite a bit, so did you get any like winter weather? You got to see
It was cold in March. There was like a couple days where it was like minus 30. But no, I didn't. I think we missed like really bad.
Okay, that's very lucky. Did you get any like frost buildup on the windows at that time that you were noticing?
Yeah, like you could tell like in the corners, even when you get out of the shower, you can tell. Like just now, us being in the house, there's all this condensation built up around the inside of the windows. The ceiling would be like super frosty on the inside, and then it melts through. We'd have like massive, upstairs, and then we'd have like massive icicles along the side of the house, just dripping off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. It's a old home, right? It comes with the territory for sure. And then, so without having seen it go through that winter cycle, like what made you make the decision that I need to swap out all these windows for this winter?
I didn't want to get broken into, and some of these are still single pane windows. The ones in the bedroom where we sleep, like just slide open.
Yeah, I know.
And you can actually like lift it up out of the track. So even if I put a stick there, I mean, if somebody really wanted to get in, they can get in. I wanted black. I wanted black windows. It's like a new thing. They got black windows. I was like, I want black windows. And then there was the Greener Homes loan. So it was like an interest-free loan, paid back over 10 years. So I was like, oh.
Yeah, those incentives definitely help to do this because this is a pretty big upgrade and undertaking, right? And then, so what led you to select Ecoline specifically?
They actually, they had a good amount just a bunch of good incentives. Like they had cash back. I can't remember what the other thing was. A discount. And then I just became a Costco member this year and I love Costco. My mom actually has also been a Costco member forever, and she said, I told her about you guys, or Ecoline, and then there was all-weather windows as a recommendation from my realtor.
Yeah.
And the cost difference between the two of them, even without the discount from Ecoline, was significantly different. So the guy that came to give me a quote on the windows was really good. I kept changing like 1,000 things, and he was like, no problem, this is what you want, we're gonna do it, okay, go for it. So the whole process has been really good.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, sounds like good experience all around, and I expect these guys will maintain that level of expectation. I think they'll be in and out of here in a day. You're in 1 day today?
Clearly, just
one or two day turnaround.
the basement windows might be a problem, we'll see.
Yeah. So here's one of the pieces of glazing that has been taken out, and you see it's relatively thin. Not a lot of real estate to work with here. And then we have a metal case surround that's holding these panes together. So metal is going to have a high thermal transmittance. So when we have that cold temperature, it has an easier time moving between inside, outside, and outside, inside through a metal surface. So again, metal is going to be a high thermal transmittance, and then whereas the new like Ecoline style windows, that's sealed with a resin type material that's going to bond the panes together. And then on the seams here with the metal, that creates like a vulnerability and a weak point in the glazing. That my concern would be that any of the argon gas that's in here has a point of exit between these two panes, and once we lose that argon gas layer, that's what's providing the thermal value to these windows, not the panes itself. So if that's gone, this is doing almost nothing in terms of keeping the cold where it should be outside. Pull out this little side window, and we can see just at the header there, some spray foam insulation. So this is probably a DIY attempt to, treat draftiness or air leakage through the window. You can see it's nowhere along the jambs. It's not on the sill. It's not bad coverage overall, but yeah, just at the header there. The sill here is deteriorated and rotted out, so probably be looking at getting a new sill in on this one. Look at how that is framed. That is the wall stud that's coming up through the sill. This sill should run continuously over top of that, so I don't know at what point in its 100-year life that happened, but it's not proper framing at all. Yeah, this front lip here is just ready to pop right off. Doesn't look too bad on the sides, but up at the header, there's a good amount of moisture damage. And when we took the window out, it was the first thing I saw is they tipped it down. A lot of moisture standing on the top. So there's no drip cap flashing on any of these windows. And if they're not sealed at the top, like they will be once we get the new brick molds in, then any water that runs down the face of the building has a chance to get in, sit on top of the window, and kind of rot that out and damage any of the header framing. So it's a decent amount going on here with these ones. First of all, I'm pleased that there even is batt insulation on this home, but if you look at the pattern of where it's been sitting inside the window frame, there's a lot of room for airflow to go through and for thermal transmittance to happen. So you're not getting that continuous thermal barrier all the way from exterior to interior that you are with the spray foam application. So I think last time we were talking about egress windows. If you needed to escape from this level in a fire or hazardous event, you got to squeeze through there. So if you're you or me, probably not having a very nice time getting through that, or we got to go up the ship ladder set of stairs if they aren't on fire. And this is single pane. It doesn't get any more single pane than this. This technology, I think, is like 2,000 years old. So pretty crazy. Between 1900 to 1920, we still had no technological upgrades on the original glass. I guess you can't see this on the camera, but this window is tilted towards the outside. So from the bottom to the top is sticking out way further than the base of this window frame. And these are kind of windows too. When we were talking to the owner, they're talking about security and, to be able to break and enter into these homes. These kind of old windows that aren't latched well, kind of sitting here, you just grab and move them over, are a burglar's dream.
Well secured.
Well secured. I am a professional window remover at this property.
Mm-hmm. Just the sliders.
Just the sliders. Yeah. So that is potentially how easy it is to break into this home. Just pop that up from the outside and you're in. And this is a big window to get into. Trying to pop out this piece of lumber that's installed between the two vertical studs here. So this is causing a bit of a headache, it looks like. As I mentioned, for typical sill play, we want to see that across the top of these vertical studs, not looking for pieces of lumber in between there. The framing on this window is particularly interesting. Not sure if it was an intentional design choice or not, but the pieces of lumber that they've chosen are kind of chamfered on the ends here, and they're creating a V-groove channel along the middle of the sill. So any water that gets in behind the window or any condensation from the interior that gets under the sill here is going to funnel into this V-groove. And then there's a space between two stud members here, and that water is just going to run down the center line of the wall. So it'll be great to get the 3M applied over here so that we have a continuous barrier. Whereas, yeah, right now that's just offering up a channel for water to pool into.
Are you trying to remember how to read?
Trying, it gets tough. But I'm looking at the application specifications for these two products. So our spray foam insulation and our caulking sealant. So our spray insulation requires that the ambient temperature be above -5 degrees Celsius, which we do have here today. And then our sealant notes that it can be applied in any temperature, but the product itself has to be between 10 degrees Celsius and 30 degrees Celsius when it's applied. So that's where we're storing them inside, keeping them at those temperatures. But it's important to consider what the design criteria for the materials and products that you're using are when you're doing these types of installations. So right now he's just in between cutting the frame out there, and what we're looking to do is level out all three of these windows. So when Ecoline replaces these are going to be level. You can see that that's sitting up like 1.5 inches right now from where this frame is. So as he cuts this down, new windows get in. All three of these will be at the same header and sill level, which is going to clean up the presentation of these windows inside and out. So we just finished talking about how they're cutting down 1.5 inches on the windows in the kitchen there. This one, we're cutting out a little bit more. So we're gonna take all this down. You can see where the framing's to, and get a much larger window in where this old, smaller window was in place. So a lot of cutting is gonna happen inside and out to accommodate this new, larger window. So no manufacturing stamps on the glass, but we're pretty sure that this is original to the home. And that is just one single tiny piece of glass. I think I can feel my own fingers through there. There's nothing to it. So that is original window technology. It's finest. We've come a good long way. Now this is how your window framing should look. One nice continuous top plate to form the sill and ready to sit a window on top of. So again, we got another window that's leaning towards the exterior here. You can see there's a pretty substantial separation between the back of the trim, the drywall, and the edge of the actual window frame. So we can see there's no caps or any evidence that these windows are screwed into the framing on the side, as Ecoline is doing on the new windows. And based on the age of the window versus the age of the home, I don't believe that this would be a nail fin flanged installation. We would have had to cut back a lot to get at that. But if it is, then that would mean the whole wall is leaning, which would be a greater concern. But potential this might have been a DIY installation, replacement, just a quick, this window's having problems, plug in a new one without really executing a lot of those little details properly. So at the top there, we're just adding some framing in for the window. You see they've applied caulking to the existing framing. So that's gonna create a seal between these two framing members when they go put this one up against it, so that we're not getting any air seepage between those two pieces of lumber. All right, last step before we install the window itself is, again, applying our 3M membrane to the frame. This is gonna protect that nice new framing that we just put in. Make sure that all these screw holes are sealed from any water that might sit on the sill. So this is gonna make sure that that framing lasts us another 100 years. Whoa, this ladder's a little slippery. There's snow and ice all over it. All right, looks like we've got a nice fresh frame here, ready for a little window. This is gonna be much nicer. Recall, this is where we had wood slats up to here with a little single pane picture window. So anything that we put in here will be a significant upgrade. So here, the screw the window into the side, and this is what's gonna keep that window from tilting over time, either towards the exterior or towards the interior. It's gonna keep it nice and level in line with the framing of the wall. All right, so definitely have some older construction practices here. See, there's a paper on the outside that's legitimately like a cardboard paper type material. Still got a little bit of our poly, but we have a tongue and groove slat on the exterior here as well. And then just some extra really cheap framing here. Yeah, I couldn't even comment really. Some type of additional shingle type material. This is not far off from what we're using for shims, so not a great choice I would use on a modern home, that's for sure. Well, the new window looks gorgeous. It is an older home though, so we're gonna have additional patchwork and stuff, and something to consider if you do have an older home. You can see a little bit more of the stucco has come off around the window frame than what we've seen on a 20 or 30-year-old house that's having a similar replacement. So just something to consider that's had 100 years to sit and adhere, dry out, crumple. But other than that, no, the window looks fantastic. Like the black, it's very sleek on this older home, so it's gonna really give a nice facelift to the property. But yeah, just some extra consideration to how we finish up the edging around these windows. All right, we're soon to get rid of some of this 100-plus-year-old material on this home. We had a great chance to see a number of different window types today, and just how the age kind of affects the evolution of windows in a home, the design and assembly of them, seen some variations there. And it was great to talk to the homeowner today, because we got a little bit of a different insight than we have with other homeowners. Some of them are the same overlapping ideas that, greener home grant, looking at Ecoline through Costco and the competitive pricing. But the big things for this particular homeowner was she wanted black windows, was very adamant about that. That was something that Ecoline offered, and wanted to improve the security on this property, which isn't something we talk about as much. But yeah, with these older windows, some of them are easy to just pop those frames right out, or they're very, very thin. You know, you can pry open a casement window. Whereas with these new windows from Ecoline, they'll offer a higher level of security, and they're gonna clean up this home just in appearance substantially.